Good morning. This is week 7 of going Charlotte Mason in our little vlog. So I thought that I would just give you guys a little bit of a day in the life today.
We decided to try the Charlotte Mason method for 12 weeks and see what sticks.
There hasn't been a huge amount of changes in our schedule as compared to the last few weeks, and things have been going pretty tickety-boo as far as like checking things off. We haven't had any hiccups or anything, so things are going really well. The only things that we have changed, I think I shared last week, I picked this book up for 25 cents. I'm really liking it. It's The History of Science in the 18th Century. We were already reading The Age of Enlightenment, which is basically 18th century biographies, which is good. A little bit of 17th century too, because that's the Age of Enlightenment span. And then I've had this book for a while. It was recommended to me before the world was ready. And it is a bunch of stories about daring genius in science. And a lot of these biographies and people are in these books. So this puts them in a really fun way. They have really funny like comics that kind of go with it. Disclosure though, full disclosure, I don't believe any of these are Christian perspective. I should add that the reason why that might be important, just to disclose that it's not Christian perspective, is because of the time that we're studying. The Age of Enlightenment was a time where you kind of come out of this very religious, very respectful place towards the church, and the church had a lot of control. The churches had all the libraries, they had all the science sort of say in the world. And the Age of Enlightenment was the separation from that, where scientists were finally like, we're going to go against the church, we're going to go against the Pope, and we're going to do our own science. And they got very, they were very hard done by, a lot of them, because of that. Some of them went to prison, house arrest, you know, all the rest. So but it was the era where that changed, where there was a separation of church and science. So I want to specifically say that it's just like one of those sensitive things, like where, you know, not all church history is good history, but it is there, and so we need to know about it. We need to learn about it. But I wanted to talk about, I wanted to disclose that it wasn't necessarily Christian perspective, because sometimes I think there can be a bit of a taste in people's mouth when they learn about periods of history like this, where they're kind of like, see, it's church, you know? So yeah, it's just one of those things that we navigate through as we teach my kids about how, you know what, church wasn't perfect, you know? And I also don't think that any of them are specific, like, especially this one, I don't think this is a young earth book. So for the record, I'm a Christian, I'm a young earther, but I also don't believe in, I shouldn't say don't believe in, I don't just hide materials that are of a different opinion. I work through them. We read things and we talk with them with my kids. I censor as we go. If there are books that some books I'd rather maybe read with them than just like hand them, which these are them. So anyway, this particular, I mean, we've got Darwin in here and stuff like that. So I'm just guessing there's going to be some stuff. We haven't read through it yet, so I can't give a final review of it or anything, but it's a really fun book. I'm glad that we have it in our library. I own this one. I got it at thriftbooks.com. But I just really love that there was some correlation, as well as there was that library book I showed you guys earlier. We got this from the library last week. It's Carl, Get Out of the Garden. And this is Carl Linus, who is like, I don't know how to say his name in Latin, Carlos Linnaeus or something, but he's the guy that basically organized and sorted our system of biology and, like, you know, Kingdom Plantae and Animalia and stuff like that. So he was pretty great, and this is a really cute picture book of him and what he did and his work and stuff like that. So he read this yesterday. He's also mentioned in some of these books, and it's really fun to tie all these things in and to have those tie-ins happen more than once a week. If you're new, I need to tell you that I love unit study style, or like when themes tie in together. And I also love family style learning. So we're doing this Charlotte Mason sort of challenge with ourselves, because I love the Charlotte Mason philosophy. I love what she stood for. I love the style. I love the beauty. I love the feast. But I don't see a lot of the components of unit study style theme learning. That wasn't a Charlotte Mason thing. She wasn't worried about everything working together like that. That's just something I personally love. And even though she did have groups of kids of different ages together, they were still segmented. There's like Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, and a lot of Charlotte Mason curriculums and lists and schedules will have individual reading lists for each individual child at each individual stage, and I want to stay away from that. I want to do as much together as we can and only do individual for specific things that maybe can't, be apart, like certain grammar, language arts. My oldest son reads certain read alouds, or I shouldn't say read alouds, just books, reading books and stuff that he's reading on his own, not the other kids. So we'll do some things separate like that, but it's mostly because of the age of my younger kids who aren't reading yet. So as they get older, I'm expecting us to have hopefully a nice little honeymoon period where we're all doing a lot of the same things again. But we're trying to do as much together as possible right now. So that's a little bit of background on the Charlotte Mason experiment and what we're doing, but we're having so much fun with it. And yeah, so I'm really enjoying these books so far, especially this one. I really was enjoying reading this one this week. In fact, I was like, I really want to just pull this away and read it on my own time too. I thought it was so interesting. This one's good. A little bit like the biographies, I find it's great if you want like an overview of like, so what famous people were during this time. This is great. It's not that big, it's not that thick, but sometimes the biographies feel very summarized and you want to know a little bit more detail. So if you want less detail and you just want an overview, this is recommended. This one, it focuses a little bit more on the history of the science and less specifically on the people. And I love that, but it ties in all the people still. So loving that. Anyways, what I did for you guys today was I recorded our Wednesday, kind of a day in the life. So this week we had a lot of action at the beginning of the week. We did swimming on Monday after school. We did a museum on Tuesday after school, like in the afternoon. We had quite a lot of action, lots of reading this week. We're at this Airbnb temporarily for a few more weeks. And so I don't have a house to organize. We're living very minimalist. We have extra time that we don't usually have. So that's been really nice. On Wednesday was particularly a lazy day. The weather was very miserable outside, and I don't like to call the weather miserable because I really believe in like there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. But we did not bring scarves and we did not bring winter boots. We brought rubber boots, we brought ski pants just in case, but we had like this beautiful spring week last week, and this week has been snow and very strong winds, and we don't have the clothing for it. So Wednesday particularly was a little bit lazy. So in the end of the day, we ended up watching some TV. We usually only do screens on the weekends, but that kind of changed. So anyway, I will give you our Wednesday day in the life, and I hope you enjoy it and get a kind of a glimpse into a day in our week. I thought that would be fun, something different, and I will catch up with you guys for next week's vlog when we're finished. Talk to you later. Okay, well, I have been hitting my snooze button since 5:15, so I think it's finally time to get up. I'm going to start with morning coffee. We are in an Airbnb right now, which has a Keurig machine, which I think is really fun. Oh, look, it snowed last night. And my time in the mornings before the kids wake up is my time to work. So I take my coffee and I get my iPad out and I get ready to do some painting. This is usually the time that I spend painting for Nature Study Club or World Explorers Club or Bird of the Month Club or Zoology Club, one of the For the Love of Homeschooling clubs. I will link those clubs below too, in case you're interested. They're awesome. I also love to wake my kids up with a little song, a little off-key singing. It's a school day, come wake up and come with me. Wake up, guys. That was embarrassing. I can't believe I shared that with you. And then I do a quick laundry switch in the morning and get ready for the kids to come and have breakfast and Bible. When I also usually have a bit of coffee time with my husband between like 6:30 and when the kids wake up. So he's still around. He's getting ready to go to his flight classes this morning, and I'm just doing a quick pickup because I'm not usually very good at picking up in the evening. So AM it is. I usually do a quick tidy and then we can get everybody woken up and started on their day. We really love starting our school day like right in the morning. So yeah, there's no lull like to have breakfast or between breakfast and school. We just have vitamins and eat and wish daddy a good day and get on with things. Another goal I really want to get better at is making sure that we are listening to more classical music. So we're trying to listen to Mozart. So I am trying to put that in the background. I would love for us to know Mozart so well that we could pick his music out of a collection of classical pieces. So the goal is to listen to him a whole bunch. On Wednesdays, we do our Bible reading. I think usually we do an Old Testament reading today, but we did our New Testament reading today, and we'd like to take this time for our recitation. So my oldest son and I, we take turns reading from the passage, and we read with enthusiasm. The goal is to recite, but basically that means just reading really well.
And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night.
Hey, that's my song.
And they were terrified, but the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid.
I bring you good news."
And the angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid."
Suddenly, the great company of the heavenly host appeared with the angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace to men, on whom his favor rests."
And then once we're done that, I go to my list and I just check off everything that I have scheduled kind of as we finish it. And then I have my weekly sheet beside me so I remember what comes next. We're going to do song and memory work. Okay. And we kind of did sing a song already, one of the Christmas songs the kids learned, but copy work or memory work is one of my favorite times. So for my oldest, I have a copy work sheet that he does that is slowly taking words away so he can memorize his verse. And then with my youngest one, I go over the verse with him. He goes through reading with this, and we even use it for spelling. And he's memorizing at the same time.
In him, all things hold together.
Good job. All right, could you spell things in 3, 2, 1?
Things. T-H.
You're right. Think about the sounds you need.
T-H-N.
I want you to speak it again.
Things. T-H. Is that in sound?
Say ing says ing.
I-N-G says in.
Say it 10 times.
I-N-G says in. I-N-G says in. I-N-G says in.
Okay, now spell things.
Like T-H-I-N-G-S.
Good. Okay, now I want you to look it together. I'm gonna cover it up. 3, 2, 1. So after this, we have a 10-minute math block. We are only doing 10 minutes of math right now. We were doing this a little bit differently, especially for my oldest, but right now we're focusing on not completing a certain amount of work, but just getting really good habits in just giving that 10-minute concentration for math. So I set a timer for 10 minutes, and then we do math for that long. So I'm setting a timer for 10 minutes right now. Today, instead of doing our workbooks, I actually got some really cool dice, so the kids are going to practice their times tables. And my youngest is going to practice just adding with the dice. They're like a dice with a dice inside of them. One goes up to numbers up to 20, and I just thought they were really neat. We found them at the toy store. So we're going to do some out of the box practice today.
8 times 9.
Time's up. Okay, so then I will check what's next. The kids will put their compute books away, and we are reading Age of Enlightenment for our history block. I'm going to set a timer, and we are going to read some of these biographies. The Age of Enlightenment is a book full of famous biographies of people in that time period, and so that's what we're going to do today. So it is 8:26, and I talked last time how I'm really working on breaking up some of the things that we want to read through that are longer. I want to start doing like 10 minutes of reading, like read aloud information to the kids, and at a maximum. So we did that, we did some narration, and I'm gonna send the kids for like a 10-minute wiggle break. They can eat, they can play, they can do something so we can finish, because we're not actually quite finished our Age of Enlightenment that we were reading. So we're reading this morning we have kind of a rotation for history. This is Wednesday, so we're gonna read through some of this. It's mostly biographies during the era of the Age of Enlightenment. So it's great. Robert Boyle was this morning, which was awesome because we actually learned about engines this year and Boyle's Law. So that was a really cool tie-in that we could remember. My engine unit is on my site. I shall put the link below if you're interested in teaching your kids about engines. We loved it. Anyways, so break time, and then we'll get back at the second chapter where we're going to read about John Locke.
And as we do this like kind of Charlotte Mason style read aloud learning, I don't really care where we are. We can be at the table, we can be on the couches, we can be laying on the floor, we can be out on the deck, we can be at the park, kind of anywhere. So I really like that we can take this anywhere and we don't necessarily have to be on indoors. After I have each of the kids narrate back to me what they learned. And then what we did today is we got out our timeline books, our book of centuries, and we got our little mini printer out and we created little stickers for our book of centuries for both John Locke and Robert Boyle. And I can link this stuff below too. I made the timeline books. I sell them on Amazon, so I'll link that below, as well as you can also call them the Book of Centuries. It's like a century per 2-page spread. And then these little mini printers are pretty amazing. I will link them below. I did not buy high quality printers though, so just FYI, but they're just perfect. They print in black and white. The kids can put whatever kind of pictures, whatever kind of text, and it just helps things not take up a huge amount of room on their notebooks or on their timeline books, so we really enjoyed using them. So I can cross off the Age of Enlightenment chapters that we got through, and normally next we'd have another 10-minute segment of math, but we're just working on one 10-minute segment per day. So we're going to go on to poetry, recitation. We're memorizing this one, and so I get to let my kids tell you this poem.
Tell me not, mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream, for where the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not the goal. Dost thou want to dust returners? Was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow find us farther than today.
March is long and time is fleet, and our hearts are sunken gray, feel like not so turns out we still want to share it.
In the world's broad field of battle, in the big black life, be not the country and cattle, yeah, hero in this range. Trust no future, however present, but the dead past prettiest day. Act to the living present, heart with him and God were heaven. Lines of commitment all remind us, in our lives of life, and to what leave behind us, footprints in the sands of time.
I'm going to take a turn and you're going to repeat after me, okay? Footprints that perhaps another.
Footprints that perhaps another.
We'll try that again. Footprints that perhaps another.
Footprints that perhaps another.
Sailing over life's solemn main.
Sailing over like solemn main.
A forlorn and shipwrecked brother. A forlorn and shipwrecked brother. Sing, shouting heart again. Sing, shouting heart again.
And we're on to the next thing. Okay, so we have home geography. So home geography has quite nice short lessons, so I'm going to read this to my kids, and then I'm also going to get them to get their copy workbooks out or their notebooks out and start journaling a little bit of what they read so that they can kind of almost do a written or even drawn narration, regurgitating back what they've learned. We also put out a little bit of a second breakfast snack, and then my oldest can also work on grammar while my younger ones are finishing up. He will read the grammar lesson, and then he narrates back to me the lesson before he does the exercises that we do together.
Okay, I'll meet you on the couch to read with you. Now I want you to take those 3 sentences about the chair, and I want you to make it one sentence, but add a comma and an and when you need to, okay?
What about this page?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go read. So for the most part, my aim is to do family subjects, and there's just a few things that maybe not all of the kids do. For example, the formal grammar. My oldest is only doing that right now. My middle son is the only one that I'm actually one-on-one reading with. So during this time, the other kids can have a minute, or they can do their own little reading time while I read with him.
10-minute speed clean. Ready, set, go.
Another habit that I actually have on our schedule that is really helpful is a quick speed clean in the middle of the day. It just helps us put our books away, pencils, markers, tidy up some dishes. It really makes the end of day mess a bit smaller, and it makes a big difference. Another thing I want to mention that I really love is that when we get an early start to our day, we're already done the bulk of our schoolwork, and it's not even noon. It's like 10 something. So our morning block is done, and this is free time for the kids. Usually this would be outside, but because it's kind of a miserable day and we don't have all of our winter gear here in this house, they're just gonna go play downstairs. I'm gonna make myself a cup of coffee, and this is a great time for me to do Bible. I've been really enjoying some different kind of Bible highlighting and mapping. My kids are all around me. This isn't always necessarily a quiet time, but I find that sometimes trying to make time for this in the morning or in the evening isn't always as good as right smack in the middle of the day. So I had a really good time mapping out a bit of Genesis this morning, which is time to study the Word. I've been following an account called Gathering Honey on Instagram, which has really inspired me for some of my journaling and mapping that I'm doing at the moment. I will put their handle on here. And part of what I did this morning, I was just kind of trying to make a graph of kind of the generations from Adam to Noah and a timeline so I could actually visualize it. It was amazing. I realized last year that Methuselah very likely died in the flood, according to the math. And yeah, it's just kind of fun to do. I got an entire hour and a half in the Word, which was amazing. See what I mean? Middle of the day sometimes is the golden hour. Hour and a half, I should say. Anyway, so I took this time to do some dishes. My husband came home for his lunch break, so he was hanging out with the kids, reading and eating. We usually don't do a hot lunch. We usually do either leftovers that everyone warms up, whatever they want to eat, or we make like cold plate lunches. So I decided to fold some laundry as well. And yeah, we get a little bit of a family time. I'm also taking this time to change our Spotify station to our Plutarch podcast that we've been listening to. This has been a really great way to listen to Plutarch in a little bit more basic English, and we've been enjoying listening to this a few days a week.
His friends were asking, pleading, Alexander, who will you leave your kingdom to?
So we spent the next while doing that. And then we also afterwards went and got out our book of Dutch art that kind of goes with the era that we were learning about with pirates and Age of Enlightenment and stuff like that. So the kids and I were looking all at Dutch art together. We also noticed a lot of metal art in the book that we got from the library, which was kind of cool because we learned about metal yesterday in our science and how it's kind of transformed and forged. And we actually had a television show competition that was kind of right up that alley. So I told the kids that they could watch some again.
We'll watch an episode of those metal crafting shows. I think that would be really cool.
Is this the wrong way? Yeah.
Let's watch some craftsman art.
Into the room, I see razor blades, I see forks, knives, spoons, and horseshoes.
So we are going to fill a box full of stuff, letters and pictures and things for Oma and Opa. Gross Oma and Gross Opa. They are old and we wanted to send them a little box of encouragement. So we're going to work on that this afternoon for creative time. And then I think it's going to be free time.
Yeah.
We're done everything we really need to do today. So I let the kids work on this project for a while. We put some special papers in Oma and Opa's box, and then my husband actually came home from school a little bit early, so we decided to have some tea together, and the kids were telling about this metal crafting show that we were watching, so we decided to watch another episode, which was really fun. A little girl decided that she was very pooped and she would really like a nap, so we were doing that too. And we spent the whole rest of the afternoon reading. Daddy read for at least 2 hours to the kids, their read aloud that they're doing, and we had a very relaxing day compared to the other days of the week. We made pasta for supper. I cooked up some meat and some sauce and some gluten-free pasta for me, regular pasta for the family, and then we just kind of wound up our day from there. So thanks for tagging along with us today. That was how this day went.